So today we're going to dive into a pretty profound research program in theoretical physics. It's asking a huge question. What if there's a deeper layer to reality, a kind of universal code that actually determines what's allowed to exist in our universe in the first place?
I mean, think about it. Why is the universe like this? We've got these incredible theories that are amazing at describing what happens, but they don't really tell us why nature picks and chooses. Out of all the infinite mathematical possibilities, why do only certain things get to be real, stable structures? And that, right there, is the heart of the issue. General relativity, the standard model, they are masters at describing the dance of things that are already on the stage. But what we're missing is the rulebook that explains who gets invited to the dance at all. We lack that single overarching principle for existence itself. Okay, so this is where a fascinating new idea enters the picture. It's called the Universal Structural Code, or USC for short. Now, right off the bat, this is not a new force or a new particle. It's being proposed as something else entirely, a higher-level organizational layer that governs the very possibility of structure. You know, the best way to think about it is as a kind of cosmic filter. Imagine this vast, almost infinite space of every mathematically possible configuration. The USC would act like a bouncer at the door of reality, applying a set of rules and only letting certain compliant configurations through to even become candidates for physical existence. To really get what this theory is all about, we have to be super clear on three key terms: code, pattern, and structure. The people behind this research are very specific that confusing these three is the #1 source of misunderstanding. So let's break them down. First up, we have the code. This is the deepest, most fundamental layer, and it's totally unobservable. And listen, it's not code like in a computer program. It's a set of relational rules. Think of it more like the rules of grammar or the axioms of geometry. It defines which relationships between physical properties are allowed to form a coherent whole. Next, you have the pattern. So if the code is the set of rules, the pattern is the observable result of those rules in action. When a configuration follows the rules of the code, it can leave a signature in our world, in the things we can actually measure. A pattern is what shows up as data in our particle detectors. And finally, there's structure. A structure is a pattern that actually sticks around. It's a stable physical object. See, there are two hurdles to clear. A configuration has to first be allowed by the code, which lets it manifest as a pattern. But then it also has to satisfy the good old laws of dynamics, like finding a stable, low-energy state, to become a real persistent structure in our universe. So let's just nail this down. The code is the invisible rulebook. The pattern is the observable evidence that the rules are being followed. And the structure is the final stable object that actually makes up our physical reality. Keeping these three distinct is absolutely essential to understanding this whole framework. Now, this is a hugely important point. The USC is what's called a relational code, not a digital one. It's not a list of ones and zeros running the universe. A better analogy, especially for you physics students, is to think of it in terms of relational geometry. It's a set of continuous constraints that define a kind of grammar for how things like phase, spin, and other quantum numbers can couple together to form stable relationships. Okay, so you might be wondering, does this just throw out a century of incredible physics? And the answer is a very firm no. Actually, it's the opposite. This whole framework is designed to build on top of what we already know. The people behind this are crystal clear on this point. The USC is not trying to compete with the standard model or general relativity. It doesn't replace quantum field theory or Einstein's equations. It's trying to be a higher-level organizing principle that explains why the pieces governed by those theories are the pieces we have. And this diagram just lays it out perfectly. The way to look at it is that our known laws of physics, the dynamics from the standard model and GR, they get to work on a pre-selected set of configurations. The universal structural code is the proposed mechanism that does that pre-selecting, filtering the enormous space of all possibilities down to only those that are allowed to exist. So, this all sounds pretty abstract, right? Rules, filters. How in the world does this connect to the hard data we see in our experiments? Well, this is where a key concept comes into play: projection. What you're looking at here is a conceptual drawing. It's a way to visualize this deep, unobservable configuration, this web of relationships that satisfies the rules of the code. This isn't something we can ever take a picture of directly. It exists in a more fundamental space. But what we can see is this. This is real data from the CMS detector at CERN, and the theory proposes that this pattern of particle tracks and energy deposits is basically a projection, a kind of shadow cast by that deeper, unseeable, compliant configuration. So the core idea is that we never observe the code itself. It's like how we don't see the laws of grammar when we read a book. We see the sentences that the grammar allows. We observe the results of the code. These deep, complex, multi-dimensional rules get projected down into the patterns and structures that our experiments are built to measure. So where does all this lead? What does it really mean if we start thinking about the universe in this way? Well, it suggests a pretty fundamental shift in how we think about the role of information in physics. This quote from the research paper just hits the nail on the head. In this framework, information isn't just something we use to describe a particle from the outside. The right kind of relational information, the rules of the code, is an actual necessary condition for that particle to even exist as a stable thing. All right, let's bring it all together. What have we learned? The universal structural code is a proposed set of relational rules that acts as a filter on reality. It forces us to carefully distinguish between the unobservable, code, the measurable, pattern, and the stable, physical structure. It's designed to fit on top of existing physics, not throw it out. And maybe most importantly, this isn't just philosophy. It's being put forward as a formal, falsifiable research program that can be tested against real data. And that leaves us with a pretty mind-bending thought to chew on. For centuries, physics has been obsessed with the laws of motion, how things move and interact. But what if there's a more primary set of laws, a grammar of reality, that first has to decide what's even allowed to be here in the first place? That is the provocative question this new architecture asks us to seriously consider.